Okay, so here we have the dome. It's been completed structurally. The stucco mix has been sprayed on there sufficiently. It was designed to be very thin. So actually my vertical walls are a little bit thicker than the peak of the dome. The peak of the dome is much thinner. I'm not sure how thick. It's maybe a 1/4 inch thick at the top. But it has been completely covered in basalt fiber mesh as a reinforcing. The last thing that needs to be done on the dome itself is the final coating, which will make things smoother, as well as that will be the coating that has the ceramic beads in it. So the last coating will be to smoothen and to apply the ceramic bead mix to the dome. And then I have to make a custom door to fit in this space here for the door. But you see, the archway has been blended in with basalt mesh to the dome itself. And here you can see some of the PVA fibers that were mixed into the mix, as well as basalt. And this had one very thin coating before I placed the basalt mesh. So the basalt mesh is super thin, so it just tells you it's a very thin coating. And remember, any concrete, any cement mix, whether it's stucco or concrete, requires a good 4 weeks to fully cure. It doesn't get fully cured until 4 weeks. Now these here are the seams. I may blend them in. I may add cement here and just get it to blend in, or I may just leave it. Now normally I have the seams like this for my larger domes because I use them as a gauge. I'll have the seams sticking out 1.5 inches. It'll be 1.5 inches seam that I can use as a depth gauge. So you can see this is still a very thin structure because this is 1.5 inches seam sticking out, and it's probably 1.25 inches sticking out still. So it's maybe a 1/4 inch thick here. I mean, it's completely solid. And also we applied this mix by hand. I started with the stucco sprayer, but then I just wanted to show you don't even need a stucco sprayer or a trowel. You could technically just apply it by hand onto the dome airform. And so that's why I'm showing. I started with the stucco sprayer, but then I switched for this coating with applying by hand. So this was all applied by hand. We put it on. You can see these swirls were made, and that was all because it was done by hand. Here's a seam again. And again, I'm thinking I might fill it in or might not. I haven't decided yet, because the exterior is not that important look wise. What's important is when I apply that ceramic coating on to completely cover the dome with the ceramic cement mix. But it's very thin but still very strong. So we're gonna open it up in a moment and we'll take a peek on the inside. Okay, so here we have the dome. It's not complete yet. We still have some more work to do, like the outer coating, a doorway, and as far as the inside goes, I'll be removing the plastic. I'll cut all that out. And I'll clean out this floor area. I'm thinking I'm going to do a cob floor. Or maybe I'll just leave it the way it is, you know, after I get all the rocks and smoothing it out. Because again, this is like a meditation dome. So it'll be grounded. If I put cement, it'll insulate me from the ground. It's not going to be the same as barefoot on the dirt. So I'll do that. Here I want to show you the walls. The majority of the walls come out smooth. In this case, I had a bunch of wrinkles in the airform, so all the wrinkles got cemented. So you see these are where the wrinkles are. And also here where the fabric was wrinkled. So this is pretty simple to fix up. I just can plaster over this and make it smooth. Thinking I'll probably do that. I'll plaster just to make everything nice and smooth, but it's completely solid. There's some areas where you can see some daylight, and this is where the seam is. The seam's probably folded. We'll go to this side right now. Let's see, that's one seam, two seams. So, one seam, two seams, and that light is coming through here somewhere, probably right there. So anyway, like I said, this is getting another coating to smoothen it out a little and to put the ceramic bead cement mix on the exterior in a very thin coat. It'll be really thin. It'll be so thin, it'll be really liquidy. I'll probably just pour it on and use a paint roller to apply it. That's how thin I'm gonna try to make that coating. So yeah, here's another spot that's from the seam. You can see daylight there. And if I were making this dome like I'm making the house, and it were gonna be about 10 inches thick, the wall, you definitely wouldn't see any light coming through anywhere. But my goal with this dome was to make it very thin because I'm experimenting with the ceramic. So that's why this dome is super thin. This is as thin as I could build it. And again, here it's probably a ½ inch. Some areas might be 3/4 of an inch thick. But up top is definitely like maybe a 1/4 inch thick, if that. So it's very thin, but I was just standing up there and it felt completely solid. So to avoid seeing the mesh at all in some spots, like here, you can see mesh, that required that I had a very loose, watery cement mix. And if it was very loose and watery, it would fill all these little squares there. But that's fine because when I plaster on the inside, that's just texture for the stucco to cover up. But having that mesh right there, you know, you'll get no cracking on the inside because this is all reinforced all the way around. So you'll never see a crack here with that reinforcement just under the cement. So my intention is to bring the power wash up here. I'm going to power wash all this loose, whatever's loose. There's like little loose pieces coming off. I'll power wash everything, and then I'll do a coating on the inside, really to smoothen it out because the interior is going to get the ceramic bead paint. So I just want it to be smooth on the inside when I paint it. I could just paint over this and it would work just fine. It is such a small dome. I'm gonna fix it up a little nicer, get it a lot prettier looking. So this is from the airform. The lettering, the color got, you know, sticks to the cement. So when I peeled the airfoam off, that's why it says Tyvek. You saw the airfoam was removed, but it still says Tyvek in reverse here now. And as far as the doorway, I'll be making some custom door. I've had an idea for a while to make a door. Nice little custom door that fits into here, and that'll be nice. So that'll probably be the next project after I finish the exterior and the interior. Then I'll work on making the door, and I'll show all of this once I get to that point. So I've mentioned before the benefits of building a dome such as this. Now this is very thin, and you could make it, you know, if it were even that thick. This is about 2.5 inches, 3 inches thick. You're talking about it be incredibly strong. And this is what you would want to build yourself for any kind of shelter. This can obviously be a shed. It could be a safety shelter for hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes. You could easily build one of these in the backyard if you live in like a stick frame home in an area that gets hurricanes and tornadoes and such. This is a great shelter to build and to be safe in. And the other thing I really like about these little domes, let me go inside, it's a little windy out here. It's a little echoey in here, but the other good thing about the dome that I always say is if you are going to build something new, let's say it's not a dome, you know, let's say it's an earthship or a regular stick frame house or an adobe home, adobe bag, hyper adobe bag home. All of those systems take a lot of time and a lot of labor, especially if you're a solo. This dome I built by myself, and in total it's about 8 hours of work up to this point here. Like I said, I have finishing work to do on the inside and outside, but for what you see so far is 8 hours of work. So within 8 hours you could build something like this, or even larger. You know, it wouldn't even take you that much longer. Even if it took you 16 hours of work to build something 3 times this size, you could do it very quickly and really inexpensively. And the benefit of that is you can have something that's safe and sound to keep your tools in or to keep yourself in while you build your dream home. My dream home is a dome, so I'm working on a dome. But a lot of people out there, you know, you're looking to build something else, and that's fine. But I say to everyone, build a dome because you can build this really quickly and have a place to stay in that's safe and secure while you build your other project that's going to take a lot longer than 8 to 16 hours. Now this has been over a 5-day time period because we had a good 3 days solid of rain. The actual time in labor to build was 8 hours for this point. And this is solo. I'm solo doing this job. So you can imagine if you had 2 or 3 people, it would go by even quicker because one person could be spraying with the stucco spray, another one could be grabbing a bucket with the stucco to reload the sprayer. So each time the sprayer empties, you can have somebody right next to you ready with a full bucket to load your hopper, and then you could continue spraying. So you can increase the speed massively with 2 people, and 3 people gets even faster. You don't need many people. I'm demonstrating that one person alone can build this dome. So I was solo in 8 hours, built this structure here, and I could have made it thicker, I could have made it stronger, but for my purposes, this is an experimental dome, so I don't need it to be really beefy and strong. And I'm not concerned with any trees falling on it because there's no trees around. But the fact is, this dome is strong enough to withstand a tree falling on it. There's no question about it. This would definitely be strong enough to withstand that. And definitely these side walls, because they're much thicker at the bottom. It's very strong. So anyway, that's it for now, people. I'm going to be continuing to finish this dome up, and I'll make a video soon of the next steps that I'm going to take, and then afterwards I'll make a video from start to finish of this whole project. Okay, now for my people who want to build with Aircrete, I've not been comfortable with pure Aircrete structure for a long time, and besides that, there are counties that have building code requirements because they want to make sure you're building something strong and safe. This would be strong and safe. Now, what I would recommend to anyone wanting to build with Aircrete is build a strong and safe structure. This is very thin, you know, it's only maybe a 1/4 inch at the top and maybe 3/4 of an inch on the vertical walls. So you could build this as I did in 8 hours alone, this size, and then you can come with Aircrete blocks and you can mortar your Aircrete blocks onto this shell so that you would have Aircrete as your insulation. So you can make an insulative Aircrete brick that could be very lightweight that you mortar on to this dome shell. So a lot of people building Aircrete domes are taking weeks, if not months, to build, whereas you could build this in a day, less than 24 hours, and then put your Aircrete bricks and mortar them onto here for your insulation. And that to me is the most ideal situation. And you can get those shapes, like if you like the dome Gaia shaped domes and archways, you can still do all of that and then put Aircrete bricks on there. That to me is going to be your safest, strongest, fastest way to build, because I use the airform. I have my cement sand mix on here, stucco mix that's structural with the reinforcement. You know, all these squares are the basalt mesh that's in there, plus the PVA fibers that are mixed in, plus I have a basalt chop mixed in there. So it's basalt, PVA, sand, cement, thin shell structure on an airform, done in incredibly fast time, you know, especially if you have more than one person. And then you can start your bricks. But meanwhile, you can also start on the inside at the same time, rather than building a layer of bricks, you know, one row at a time until you can reach the top, and then you're gonna have a million counterweights to hold the bricks on, and then you gotta shave the bricks and all that. I mean, this here, you can mortar them on in no time. In one day, you can have all your bricks made. You can have a stack of bricks made, and as soon as your shell's built, start putting the bricks on and quickly be done. It's amazing at the speed you could build once you have a structural shell. You saw me standing on it, you know, I was standing on the top of the dome. So it's completely safe and sound right now. And it's only been 1 day curing since I put the second coat on. After 4 weeks, this will be to maximum strength, because that's what cement, concrete, stucco requires, is 4 weeks for a full cure. And I'll be watering this down every few hours. I'll water it down because you don't want your cement to crack from drying too quickly with the sun. You know, cement needs to cure, so that's a slow process. With the sun beating on it like it is right now, that would dry it and could cause microfractures. But having the reinforcement in here also prevents that, because that's a small area right there in between the basalt that's not reinforced. So it's really tiny. So really, there should hardly be any cracking at all in a structure like this. Build a dome shell using an airform. You can get it done extremely fast. Then you can mortar your Aircrete bricks onto that shell, and you would feel far safer and secure, and you would save so much time by building this method. Now again, this dome is an experiment. I'll be covering it with a ceramic bead mix. The double shell dome that I've built, which would have been building another shell like this on the outside edge and then filling that cavity with Aircrete, that would have been one method for insulating the dome. The other method would be the Epic cement mix, which is polystyrene, paper, and cement mixed together and sprayed on as an insulation layer. That's what I'm doing for my main domes that I'm building now. There's a few methods. Anyway, that's it for now. This is Aircrete Harry. Peace out. Love you all, and I'll catch you later.